Okay, Serena, let me just try to explain some things so that you can use it to do your assignment. Now, generally, right, every every element in the periodic table has a mass number and an atomic number. Now, let me indicate what a mass number is. So if I call an element maybe X, right, the number below here is the atomic number. I will call it A, while the number up here is a mass number. I will call it M. You see now? So I'm going to say that this M is equal to the mass number, and then this A is equal to the atomic number. Okay, now we should also know that this atomic number is always equal to number of protons. So the atomic number is the same as the number of protons. Now the mass number is always equal to protons plus neutrons. You see, so which means that if, let's just take for the first now let me write something. Number, how do we get electrons? Number of electrons is equal to number of protons in a neutral body. When we say neutral, it means that you don't have any charge, you have not gained electrons or you have not lost electrons. Now let's take the first one. Let me see. The first one is uranium 23592. So this symbol is a symbol of uranium, though you don't need to know it for now. You just have to know how to calculate. So the first question, right, it is U. This X has been replaced by U. Then we have here what is this? 235, and then this is 92. Right, now you clearly see that if let us find protons. Number of protons, like I said from the original, the number of protons is A. It is the atomic number, the number that you represent in the periodic table. So in this case, what will be the number of protons? 92, right? So the number of protons here is 92. Now what about neutrons? Let's first talk about electrons. Okay, now the number of electrons, like I said, is the same as the number of protons if the body is neutral. In this case, the body is neutral, so the number of electrons is also 92. Now let's go to neutrons. How do I get the number of neutrons? Now, since we know that the mass number, we need to take protons plus neutrons. It therefore means that if I want to have these neutrons, I'll need to take the mass number, right, minus protons. So neutrons is mass number minus protons. Okay, so we are going to take 235 minus 92. You will have your answer. Now in the second one, the second element is gold. The second element is gold. That is AU. That's a symbol for gold. Now I see here, let me see, 79, and then here, up here I see what is this? 197. Sorry, 197. Okay, so from what I've explained, what will be the number of protons? Protons will be 79, right? Now what about electrons? Electrons will be what? Also 79, because the body is neutral. Now what about neutrons? Neutrons, what do we need to do? We need to take the mass number, which is 197, minus the number of protons, which is 79. So we have to take 197 minus 79. You punch and you have your answer. Now the third element here, you made a mistake. The third element is potassium. Potassium is K, and correct, the mass number is 39 but the atomic number is 19, so you have to correct it. I saw you wrote 14, it's supposed to be 19 and not 14, so maybe you made a mistake when you were copying in class. Now the number of protons, I think this one you can get the answer right, but I'm just going to write it is 19, right? Now electrons, like I said, electrons is also equal to protons, so the electrons is also 19. What about neutrons? Neutrons will give us what? The mass number 39 minus 19. You have your answer. Now let me explain something concerning electrons. So like I told you, I said that electrons is equal to, the number of electrons is always equal to the number of protons if the body, oh, what have I done? The number of electrons is always equal to the number of protons if the body is neutral. When they say neutral, it means that there is no charge, alright, which means that if I write something like potassium plus, you see this body is now an ion because it has lost an electron. When the charge is plus, it means that it has lost one electron. If it is 2 plus, it means that it has lost 2 electrons, or 2 plus like this, it means it has lost 2 electrons, you see. And in this case it is still going to be the very element, but the number of protons will not be the same as the number of electrons. We are done with your assignment, but let me just explain something else so that you understand what protons and electrons are actually all about. So if I instead give you this very element, uranium for example, right, and then I put maybe 2 minus, right? Now if I say find the number of protons, now the number of protons here does not change, it is still equal to 92. Okay, now what is changing is the electrons, alright, because the neutrons will still remain the same. What is changing is just electrons. And when we have 2 minus, it means that you have gained 2 electrons. So the minus sign means you have gained electrons and the plus sign means you have lost electrons. So if I have 2 minus, it means I have gained 2 electrons. So originally, how many electrons were there? I had 92 electrons. Now if I've gained 2 electrons, how many will be there? They are going to be 92 plus 2. 92 plus 2, which will give me 94. So in this case, the number of protons is not equal to the number of electrons is not equal to the number of protons, because the body is having a charge. But when the body is not having any charge, the number of protons and the number of electrons are the same. Okay, let me just give a final example and send the video. So if I have, maybe let me take potassium. Okay, if I have potassium and I put plus, right, now the protons will still remain the same. Number of protons does not change, it is still equal to 19. What will change now is the electrons. Yes, now what happens is that if I have a plus, right, it means that I have lost an electron. So plus for loss, so try to write it down. If it's plus, it is loss. So since it is just plus, it means that I have lost 1. It is not nice to be putting 1 plus or plus 1. It is because when they just say plus, you have lost 1. So since originally the number of protons, the number of electrons are 19 when it was just potassium, now when it is potassium ion plus, it becomes 19 minus 1 because you have lost 1 electron and becomes 18. So if you have any question, just tell closing to get to me.